Hello everyone, and I hope that you're doing great today. Now today we're looking at this BGCSE chemistry past paper. It is a paper 1 from 2023. As always, please remember to write your school number, your candidate number, your school name, and initials. Also, please read through the instructions carefully, and if you should have any queries, please clarify those with the examiner before you begin the examination. All right, they provide you with a nice periodic table for chemistry. And let's jump into question number 1. And question number 1 reads that a mixture of water and sand needs to be separated and collected. Which method of separation is used to separate this mixture? And this is definitely filtration. For question number 2, it said which gas is not found in clean air? And that is carbon monoxide. All right. Carbon dioxide is. Nitrogen gas is. Definitely oxygen. All right, so carbon monoxide is not. All right, a matter of fact, carbon monoxide is formed from incomplete combustion. All right, question number 3. It said the following pieces of apparatus are used to conduct an experiment with magnesium metal and hydrochloric acid. All right, so if you notice, we have a mass scale right here, or a gram scale. All right. Also, we have a syringe. We have here a measuring cylinder and a stop watch or a stop clock. All right, he said which apparatus is used to measure the volume of the gas produced and the acid used. And so 2 and 3, they both measure volume. And so B is the correct answer for that question. Question number 4 is a compound Z has a melting point of 82 and a boiling point of 105 degrees Celsius. He said which statement is true about compound Z? And first and foremost, it's talking about liquid and gas. So if it melting at 82, that means anything above 82 will be a liquid. Anything below 82 will be a solid. All right. So therefore, it has to be a liquid above 82. So either C or D will be good in terms of being a liquid. All right. A and B are not good because before 82, it is a solid because it melts at 82 degrees Celsius. If it boils at 105 degrees Celsius, that means anything before 105 or between 82 and 105 will be a liquid. Above 105 will be a gas. So it will be a gas at 115. So D is the correct answer. Number 5, which substance has the most kinetic energy? And to have the most kinetic energy, it means that it must move the fastest. And of course, gaseous substance move the fastest. So therefore, C is correct, which is steam. Number 6 is that 2 gas jars contain air and bromine. The gas jars are connected and the gas on the glass slide is removed. It said the behavior of the gas particles is shown in diagram 2. It said which process occurs in diagram 2. And if you notice, it is uniform throughout, so therefore the gas must diffuse. So diffusion is correct for that one. For number 7, it said which ion gains electrons to have the same number of electrons as a neon atom. And this one is oxygen. A matter of fact, keyword here is it gains electron. And so the non-metals will gain electrons. And so again, neon is of a proton or electrons of 10. And so therefore, if oxygen, which is 8, gains 2 electrons, then it becomes just like neon. All right. Now, for number 8, it said X and Y represent 2 atoms. All right, so notice them carefully. We have X, the mass number is on top because those are the largest number. The proton number is at the bottom because those are the smaller number, and they have the same proton, which means that they are the same element. All right, so which statement is true about atom X and Y? And so therefore the correct answer here is that they are both isotope because they have different mass numbers. So the mass numbers are different, but they're the same element because they have the same number of proton. For number 9, it said which statement is true about atoms? And here it said atoms have a neutral charge, and it is correct because you have equal number of proton to electrons. So they are equal number of positive charges to their equal number of negative charges. So electrically neutral for all atoms. All right. Once they're naturally occurring atoms, they're electrically neutral. All right, of course, neutrons, they're not positive, they have 0 charge. And this for C said atomic mass represents the number of electrons, which is not true. All right, because of course the atomic mass is proton plus neutron, and D is the number of electrons and neutrons are equal, which is also not true. In some cases, they might be, but it is not a true statement. All right, for number 10, it's a compound with formula TF2 has a relative atomic mass of 47. All right, so what is element T? And so we know what F is, which is fluorine, so that is 19 of 19 as its mass number. There are two of them, so it's going to be 19 times 2, give you 38. And you minus 38 from 47, get 9. And so therefore, beryllium is the only atom right here with a mass number of 9. All right, so A is the correct answer for number 10. Here is the table shows information about 4 elements in the periodic table. The letters do not represent symbols of elements. It's a use the table to answer question 11 and 12. And so what I did right here is to give you the electron configuration right here of each element. That's going to be very important. And it said which element is located in period 2 and group 6. And so for you to be in group 6, you must have 6 valence electrons. So therefore either Q or R. However, it's a period 2, which means we'll have 2 shells. And so R will have 2 shells here to be in period 2. And so therefore C is the correct answer. Number 12 is which 2 elements combine with each other to form a covalent compound. And we're looking here for 2 nonmetals. And so if we go back to the periodic to the chart, I should say, Q and R, they are nonmetals. How we know they are nonmetals? Because they have 6 valence electrons. Anything with 1, 2, or 3, they are metals. So, and they do not form covalent compound. So definitely Q and R is the correct answer right there because they are the only 2 nonmetals. For number 13, it said what is the empirical formula for the molecular formula C6H14? And so right here, the lowest common factor is 2. So we divide both numbers by 2. And so what we get here is 3 and 7. So therefore C is correct for 13. All right, now we're jumping on to the next question. It says use a table of substances and their pH values to answer question 14 and 15. And so look at the periodic table here. We have battery acid, which is 0, pH of 0. We have black coffee, which is 5. And we have hand soap, which is 10. And we have stomach acid, which is 2. And they said which substance is the most acidic? And of course, the lower pH number is the acidic one, most acidic one. And so therefore, battery acid is the most acidic, followed by, of course, stomach acid. All right, the next question, number 15, is that ammonium hydroxide is an alkaline solution. It said which substance has a pH value close to ammonium hydroxide? For the fact it is an alkaline, all right, which is also a base, and anything above 7 is alkaline. So therefore, the only thing above 7 here is the hand soap, which is 10. So therefore, C is correct for number 15. All right, so number 16, it said which salt remains when a solution of sulfuric acid is reacted with a solution of calcium hydroxide. And what we're going to get here, we're going to get calcium sulfate. All right, so the calcium will react with the sulfate in this case. All right, and so you get calcium sulfate. Now for number 17, it said which metal is not, keyword is not used for electroplating by using an aqueous solution, and definitely sodium, because sodium is reactive with water or moisture. All right, so it will not be used, too dangerous and too reactive, of course. 18, it said which ion produces a blue-green flame in a flame test, and this one is definitely copper 2 ion. And you should also know barium will give you green, potassium is lilac, and sodium is yellow, calcium is orange-red, and lithium is red. And an easy way to remember copper, copper and copper sulfate, which is blue, so definitely to give it like a bluish color. And of course, like if you think about potassium permanganate, which is a purplish color, so you give it lilac, right? So that's a kind of easy way that I used to remember some of those. All right, for number 19, is that which reaction is endothermic? And endothermic is the gaining of heat or energy. And so therefore, photosynthesis is the only reaction here that is gaining heat, because remember that light is absorbed, all right? Or heat energy is absorbed, or light energy is absorbed, so you gain energy. All right, so that's only endothermic. Exothermic is giving off heat, and so all A, B, and D, they are giving off some form of heat. Rusting of iron is very slow and give a little bit of heat, really not normally noticeable. but definitely we know off the bat that photosynthesis is the one that gain heat. All right, number 20. It says zinc was react with dilute hydrochloric acid to produce a gas. It said this was collected in a test tube and tested with light littered splint. It's a popping sound occur with the littered splint. And of course, we know here once you have a popping sound is hydrogen gas. And so this is a reaction here. Zinc react with hydrochloric acid to give you zinc chloride and hydrogen gas. So hydrogen is the correct answer for number 20. For number 21, it states that hydrogen peroxide decomposes to produce oxygen. A catalyst can increase the rate of this reaction. It said in an experiment, equal volumes of hydrogen peroxide were mixed with equal masses of 4 catalysts. The table shows the amount of oxygen released at various times when each catalyst was added. It said which one was the most efficient catalyst. And you're looking here at the one that produces the faster rate of reaction. And so how we calculate the rate of reaction here is the amount of oxygen, which is the volume of oxygen per time. And so we divide each of them by time. And so these are the rates I have here. And so if you notice, the most efficient one definitely will be C because it produces a greater rate, okay? To produce more oxygen per second, all right? They're very close, but definitely C is the most efficient one. Question number 22. Is which equipment or substance can be used to test for the gas produced when ammonium nitrate, all right, which is NH4NO3, is heated with sodium hydroxide. And just to give you the products right here, what you get here is sodium nitrate, and you get ammonia and also water. And of course, right here we're looking for the gas that produced, which is ammonia, and ammonia can be used, can be tested with red litmus paper, and it will turn it blue. All right. Number 23 is a magnesium burns in oxygen with a bright white light. It's the balanced chemical equation for the reaction is written as shown. And so we have magnesium plus oxygen give you magnesium oxide. It's which statement is true about the reaction. And if you think about it right here, so magnesium is oxidized because it loses electrons. And of course, magnesium will lose electrons to oxygen. All right. And so therefore, that's why it is oxidized. All right. So remember that oxidation is the gain of oxygen or the loss of electrons. And of course, for B, you know that B is incorrect because the magnesium reacts with oxygen in a physical chain. And that's just foolishness because that's a chemical reaction there. So B is definitely not a true statement. And of course, magnesium reacts with oxygen to form a block solid, which is not true right there. That's not the reason. Well, that's not even it. Oxygen is reduced. It loses electron. Not true. It gains electrons. All right. All right. So let's jump into 24. It says zinc is less reactive than magnesium. It's which statement confirms this? All right. And the statement here, if it is less reactive, then magnesium can replace it. So magnesium can displace zinc ion from zinc compounds. Definitely so. If zinc was more reactive, then magnesium could not replace it or displace it. All right. So A is correct for that one. For 25, it said what causes the rate of a chemical reaction to be increased, and there are a number of things can cause that. One here is to increase the surface area of the reactant. Definitely, you can also increase concentration, and you can also increase the temperature as well. Because higher temperature, the particles will move much faster, and therefore they bombard in each other much quicker and faster, and so therefore you have more collision, hence a faster rate of reaction. All right, so all of them will kind of give you the same kind of explanation. So again, increase surface area, increase concentration, and increase temperature, and also if you increase mixing as well. All right, and of course, adding catalyst is definitely 1. All right, so therefore C is correct for 25. It's a water is formed from 48 grams of oxygen combined with 6 grams of hydrogen. It said which mass of oxygen combines with 2 grams of hydrogen. And so the way to get this, if we have 2 grams of oxygen right here, 2 grams of hydrogen, what we need to do to get 2 grams is to divide 6 by 3, we get 2. And so if we divide 48 by 3 also, what you get there is 16. All right. So that's the kind of a ratio you could use there. All right. Or what you could do is you could divide 6 by 2, you get 3, and so divide both by 3. So there's a next way to do it. All right. So either you understand that 3 go into 6 2 times, or you divide 2 into 6, give you 3, and divide 48 by 3. All right. So you could just simply do that. 6 over 2 multiplied by 48. So that's another way you can actually express the formula. And you get 616. All right, number 27. Is that which group of the periodic table contains a non-metal conductor? And right off the bat, you know this definitely is a group 4, which is carbon. And we're talking about graphite in the form of graphite to be specific. All right, because you know carbon can exist as diamond as well. All right, so graphite is a metallic conductor. It is used as an electrode. So think about electrolysis. All right, it's used in batteries as well, graphite. All right, 28. So which statement about the elements in group 1 is correct? And right here's hydrogen is evolved when they react with water. All right, so if you think about like potassium, sodium, and so on. All right, 29 is a G is a monatomic gas. All right, so which statement about G is correct? And it's a monatomic gas, which means it's just a single atom there. And so definitely the monatomic gas, they are typically from group 8 and they are noble gases. All right, and so therefore they are unreactive gases. All right. Remember group 6, just to point out this, group 6 and 7, they normally form diatomic gases. All right, for example, chlorine and oxygen. Chlorine from group 7 and oxygen is from group 6. All right, just to mention that. 30 is which metal reacts with steam but not with water? And this is definitely zinc. All right. All right. So both calcium, potassium, and sodium will react with steam and also water, but zinc will react with steam because of that excess heat to speed up the chemical reaction, because zinc is not so easily reacted with water, all right, or moisture, that is. All right, but of course, as temperature increases, the reaction becomes better. 31 is which nitrate decomposes with heat to produce oxygen and nitrite, and this is potassium nitrite. All right, and if you think about like fertilizers and so on, you know, potassium nitrate will be a good source of fertilizer. Now, 32, it said metal L reacts with an acid. The reaction is slow at first and then very vigorous. It said which element is metal L, and this one is aluminum. All right, of course, calcium will tend to react a little bit faster with acid, and of course, lithium and magnesium definitely will kind of start really fast and then it becomes slow as the amount of the substance decreases. All right, 33. It's a metal M does not react with an acid, but its metal oxide reacts with acid, and this here is copper as the metal here. All right, so the oxide of copper oxide will react with acid very easily, but copper do not react with acid just on its own. All right, and the fact of that is because it's hard to replace or displace hydrogen. Now, question 34 and 35 are based on the following processes. We have the contact process, we have electrolysis, we have Haber process, and we have reduction. And so which process is used to extract iron? And definitely that one is D, which is a reduction for 34. All right. And for 35, we said which process is used to manufacture sulfuric acid? And that one is a contact process. So A is correct right there. All right, here we have cryolite is an important chemical in the extraction of which element? And that is aluminum. All right, and please remember, you need to know the extraction of metals from the various ores, and of course, also their chemical reaction and the different steps that are involved. 37 is which salt is acidic. All right, and so to be an acidic salt, hydrogen must be present, or it must be able to dissipate hydrogen ions in a given solution. And so therefore, the only one that contains hydrogen as a salt right here is really sodium hydrogen sulfate, all right, or sodium bisulfate, you may want to call it as well. Now for C, there's a big difference here. We have magnesium sulfate and we have water here. And this is the water of crystallization. So it's not within the salt as a element that makes up the salt compound, but it is the amount of water of crystallization. So that's the difference right here. So once you see the point or the dot, and then you see a number and the amount of water, that is the water of crystallization. All right, for 38, it said which gas is produced when sulfuric acid reacts with copper? So sulfuric acid reacting with copper, what you get here is copper sulfate. We have sulfur dioxide and water. And so therefore C is correct, which is SO2, sulfur dioxide. 39. It's a test. The tests shown are performed on salt W. So we have salt W here, it's a blue solution. And the blue solution is a big giveaway what it is anyhow. All right, but let's just run through this. If you had ammonia to this blue solution, you get a blue precipitate, and that is copper hydroxide. All right, a Y is missing right there, so it's copper hydroxide. You can just stick that in. All right, let me see if I could do it without getting this deleted. Sometime it will be, all right, this seems going to work. All right, cool. All right, so it's copper hydroxide there. All right, and now for the next part, if we have this blue solution and we have few drops of barium chloride, what we get here is a white precipitate. A white precipitate, that is definitely barium sulfate. And so, of course, without any doubt, we definitely know that this is copper 2 sulfate. And copper 2 sulfate, it is a blue solution. So without even looking at the reactions, we know that this is definitely copper 2 sulfate. All right, it is a blue solution. 40. What is the functional group of the alcohol series? And that here is hydroxyl group. And just to make a note right here, there's a big difference between hydroxide group and, matter of fact, we don't really call it hydroxide group, to be honest, because hydroxide, you call it OH hydroxide when they react with ionic compounds. For example, you say calcium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, aluminum hydroxide. All right, so that is the name of the hydroxyl group when it reacts with a metal generally or in ionic compounds. However, the hydroxyl group is a proper name for the ion or the radical of that functional group, all right, which is OH. All right, and that is why, just before I even go further, let's see if I could write this in one in for you. All right, normally we typically write this as like this. We put a little dash there, all right, and we put the OH, all right, which means this is now capable to react with or displace another element, all right. And so for the one is a natural gas, methane is burned in air, all right. 1 second. Okay, yeah. So which one of the gases will be produced when there is plenty of oxygen gas available? So if you have a lot of oxygen, you're going to have a complete combustion. And so once you have a complete combustion, you're going to get carbon dioxide. If it was incomplete combustion, which you have a limited amount of oxygen, then what you get here is carbon monoxide. All right. Number 42. It said, which substance has the largest number of nitrogen atoms? So for nitrogen atoms, the greatest amount here is B. And when we work it out here, we'll have 1. No, this is not even 1. This is 2. Sorry, this is 2. Not 1. Let me just change that real quick again. This is 2 in this one, not 1. Because we have 1 in the front and 1 in the back right here, right? All right, so ammonium part have 1, and then the nitrate part has 1. So there are 2 in this one right here. All right, and then for the second part right here, we have 3. So that's why that is the greatest amount. For potassium nitrate, we only have 1, and for potassium sulfate, there's none. All right, so therefore, B is the correct answer. All right, so 3 versus 2. And I'm trying to get this thing off of the screen. It's not moving, so I'm not sure why. All right. Anyway, that's 3 there for B. All right, for 43. It said, what is the formula of a saturated straight chain hydrocarbon with 12 carbon atoms, given that the formula for this type of hydrocarbon is CnH2n plus 2, and we know that this is an alkane element or alkane group, and so therefore the only one that works out to be CnH2n plus 2 is C, which is 12 carbon, and if you multiply it by 2, get 24 plus 2, that is 26. All right, and that's alkane for sure. All right, I need to remember that. We need to remember the alkene, the alkynes as well. So you need to know all the formulas. 44. It's a group 7 element reacts with water. It creates an acidic solution, which is definitely hydrochloric acid based on this. All right, it's when the solution produced is tested with blue litmus paper, it turns red, then bleaches it white, and so we know that it's going to be chlorine. All right, so chlorine will react with hydrogen to give it hydrogen chloride or hydrochloric acid. 45. Which set of cations are responsible for hardness in well water? And generally group 2 elements, they will react with water and make water hard. And so calcium ion and magnesium ion they are group 2 metals. All right, for 46, it said which compound has atoms that are ionically bonded? And here we're looking for metal and non-metal, and so therefore the only metal and non-metal combination right here is magnesium chloride. All right, oxides, they contain oxygen, which is a non-metal. All right, and of course carbon monoxide, that will be a covalent thing. All right. All right, and here we have nitrogen dioxide, which is a non-metal and non-metal as well. Sulfur trioxide is non-metal and non-metal. So metal and metal and non-metal here is is only thing there is B. All right, 47. It said methane reacts with bromine in the presence of ultraviolet light. It said what kind of reaction is taking place right here? And right here is a substitution reaction, because what we're going to form here is bromoethane, and or otherwise called methyl bromide and hydrogen bromide. So what's going to happen is that the bromine will replace an hydrogen, okay? And so that's a substitution reaction. All right. 48 is which of the elements shown is most abundant in fossil fuels, and that one is carbon. All right, because fossil fuel is organic in nature, and the backbone of all organic compound or compounds contain what? Carbon. 49 is aspirin is used as a pain reliever. Its chemical formula is shown right here. And I just highlight this section because this section is going to be very important. It's based on the structural formula. Which homologous series does this drug belong to? And it is a carboxylic acid, which is an organic acid. So to be a carboxylic acid, it is contained in this formula, COOH. All right. So that's how we know that it is acidic in nature and it is organic or carboxylic acid. Last question. They said, what is a benefit of recycling metals? And to recycle metals, it increased in job opportunities. It will not increase electrical costs necessarily. It will not increase in air pollution, and not going to increase in the use of landfills, of course. So definitely it creates some jobs depending on what you're using the metals to do. All right, so here we end this review. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And definitely I will see you soon, and good luck on the examination. Take care.